Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us, Mayor, Council. My name is Dean Perry. I'm our regional project developer for Train. I manage both our project developers and our energy engineers, such as Mackenzie Darkow here sitting next to me. And Connor, some of you may be familiar with, is a project manager currently involved with the project and helping us to cap that. So Doug wasn't able to join us tonight. And we will be hearing from Natasha ongoing in the project, so she's a future member of the project team. A quick agenda of what we intend to present. This is largely a recap of an update of the energy services project that the city's started and nearly finished with. We're going to go through quickly what that project was, an overview of both the facilities and scope, the energy performance as it stands today, as well as some project progress updates, and then finally some next steps as we near the close of the project. So a little bit hard to read. I'll go through to start here. This was a comprehensive project that started before 2019 and was contracted in January of 2019. It included HVAC systems, solar, LED, water conservation, irrigation upgrades, and had a guaranteed savings in energy of over 1 million kWh and 31 kilowatts. So pretty good numbers. The GHG equivalency, that's the greenhouse gas reduction, is upwards of 740 metric tons. So great project. It totals 2.9 million and 2.83 of a finance project. And again, that started in development prior to 2019, was contracted, and is just now projected to wrap up here at the end of the year. So the project goals, when this had started, really we were working closely with the city to identify what what public-owned facilities owned by the city were consuming energy, the infrastructure, how to put together a self-funding project with all of that to further both the sustainability goals of the city, but also in line with Train's own goals for sustainability. So a joint effort in collaborating to create a project that included as much scope as we could get in for that amount. I won't spend too much time here. I think most know the facilities. These largely were in scope. And we got to just about everything. So municipal buildings, some of the park infrastructure, and even pump stations. Again, we targeted a lot of the aging infrastructure for the project. So there were many of the HVAC units that had essentially lived their expected life and needed to be replaced. There was controls upgrades that could help further sustainability and provide comfort, cooling settings to the city. Lighting upgrades going from older fixtures to newer LED fixtures. Water, both irrigation controls and some remote capabilities, as well as some work at the well and wastewater treatment facilities. That's primarily the well facilities with their motors, doing motor control. So as of today, we've replaced 17 of those 24 units. So those all the units in scope, less a couple that I'll mention. Those units now have a full warranty period. We've added controls, and Connor is helping cap that to essentially tie in the remote connectivity options that were part of that program, as well as 97% of the lighting being upgraded. The new irrigation systems at 7 sites or 7 meters, the VFDs on 7 new well sites, and then 4 solar arrays that you've likely seen around at both parks and facilities. Another eye chart, apologies, but this goes through the scope for each site. If you care to look a little bit closer or in detail, and then what measures were done at each site. There were some scope changes, as you can imagine, this project starting just before some major changes in many people's lives and a lot in the city schedules and otherwise, going from 2019 to 2020. Some minor scope changes, removing some items at both the Senior Citizen Center and Well 11. So some overview of the numbers as they stand today. The original project had a guaranteed energy savings amount of $674,000. And currently, with some minor scope changes, that has gone down slightly to $617,000. Same operational savings, bringing the total savings of the project, guaranteed project, to $648,000. The energy savings, of course, we removed some scopes, so the energy savings did go down slightly, and we're continuing to evaluate additional changes made over that 3-year period in construction. And that's along with some water savings as well on the right, 24,000 gallons, I believe. All right, and I won't spend too much time here. Feel free. We do have a section for questions at the end if there's any particulars. What I'll point to here is this is largely the city sites, the municipal buildings in scope, both PG&E and MID. We are seeing some interesting effects of the period through COVID in terms of some anomalies that our team's looking into, but in general, we do have savings at many sites, and if you'll notice, an increase in utility costs, so a lot of avoided cost in doing projects that save energy. This chart kind of helps visualize some of those savings. I won't go into too much detail here. We do have the remaining sites, well sites primarily listed as well, and again, large increases in energy costs, but the project in its comprehensive nature saving a good amount of energy. Spend a moment here. Okay. These are the 2 solar sites that are currently online out of the 4. We wanted to highlight the fact that they have been producing energy and are putting energy back on the grid, crediting the city of Livingston. So those 2 are operational. We are, I think the 3rd one just became operational. And then the last one here is the last piece of this project and should be online with full permit to operate before the end of the year. And those systems are the 2 larger systems, so we expect a large benefit from those as well for the city. Water consumption as well has gone down as we've seen much of the cost increase. However, water costs much lower than electric. And that gives a representation of each site with its baseline and proposed or current year. I wanted to reiterate here as well, when we're talking about these projects, these are very long-term projects. It took a lot of combined efforts with both the city and the train team from the initial period in about 2018 to get to a project, and we've gone through all of these project stages over the last 3 years, working together through a lot of challenges in terms of getting work done over a pretty unique period in history. So we are right at the end of this. The next steps including project closeout, as well as starting our measurement and verification plan, which is really the performance period in which our guarantee takes effect. To get there, we've got to complete the remaining solar site, get interconnection and permit to operate from the utility, and make sure that all of our building automation systems, energy management software is connected and reporting so that we've got a good platform to track everything as it continues. Now on train side, we want to make sure before we close any project, we always go back and we're making sure that we're validating everything is on track starting the guarantee. So we'll be looking more closely into the well sites. There's been, I know, many changes in operations and other things there, so we want to make sure we capture those, as well as in ensuring that the irrigation control, the building automation functions of the new HVAC system are all working before we move on to that final milestone of moving to our performance period. That final guarantee alignment typically takes form in a brief amendment, And then from there, we move forward into the measurement and verification period, 3 years for this contract. So we'll be watching and working with the city in that 3-year period to make sure that savings weren't just achieved, but also were staying beneficial to the city. Okay. I know I moved through that quickly. Any questions?
Council, are there any questions? Can you go back to the graphs?
Sure. Oh, maybe not. Not sure what I did there.
And if you can forward. Next to the graphs. Yeah. So we're looking at 2018 versus 2022, and this graph in particular is showing for people watching. Can you?
Sure. This is currently showing energy consumption. So energy is measured in kWh. And you're correct. That is the baseline period versus the current year. As we move into what we call our construction period reporting, we'll look over the 3-year history that the project's been active. This is more of a snapshot of start to current.
Can we move forward? Next slide. And so next. Here, back. Yeah, back one. Here. So this one is the consumption. And then I'm looking at, 2018 is a dark bar, light blue is 2022, and I'm looking at well 16 and 17.
Yes. Yes, and we currently are looking into well 17. Most in particular, we did notice an anomaly in the energy data. It used more energy in a single month than it had in a full year prior. So we believe that is either a mistake or something to do with a single time usage at the facility. We're not 100% sure, but that is very noticeable.
Because we don't have the wells memorized in our head, Miguel or anybody, 17?
Well, 17 is the newest well we have. Tony Avina, Public Works Superintendent. Well 17 is the newest well we have over by the Don Meyer Park area. This well, I did speak with Train, and it looks like some of this usage could have been caused due to some of our other wells being down at the time. I'm sure that some of you remember that we were down with 2 of our wells at times, and we were running our tank site and well 17 way beyond the normal. So that might be one of the reasons for the excessive use of power on these facilities. But it also is a arsenic treatment facility.
And Tony, what about 16?
16 is the same. The other thing that probably brought up the usage there was, I think some of you have been out to well 16 is over off of Olive and the Quiche area. That well was brought into the system with dual treatment now. At one time it was just arsenic removal. Now I think some of you have visited our facility and you see the big vessels. Those are the GAC. So we are dual treatment at that facility. So we're using the smaller filters for the arsenic, and then the big vessels over to your right are all the GAC that gets rid of all the 1, 2, 3 TCP. So that's the other issue that we are thinking that brought up the usage there and electricity, because now it's using a lot more energy because of the dual treatment.
So a question would be, if that's the case, would you be able to look at and see which years or time frames that usage was peaked, and if it matches with what Tony was saying, then I mean, I guess we would be able to concur that that was possibly what happened.
Exactly, yes. We'll use the 3 years past history of data and leading through the end of construction to validate and pair up with any information we've got from Tony and his team. We'll also compare that, our scope being one piece of that facility, adding variable frequency drives to the motors. We'll see how that was affected by any change at the facility. And all of those details do get reported in that construction period report at the close of the project.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Can you move forward a little bit? I think that was it, but I just want to double check. And then this graph here, so just once again for information purposes, so we have a baseline. That's where we were at our cost. That's how much we were paying.
The baseline period in 2019, yes. So in the bottom left, there's really two parts to this. The graphic on the top, which breaks down those electrical charges and energy rather into what's currently being used, what's being sent back to the grid, and then that net value. So now that there's solar on site, there is some energy going back to the grid and being credited to the city in terms of their utility bill. The bottom of the chart shows the baseline energy and costs against the current energy and costs. And then that blended rate is a simple calculation, just those costs over the energy to give perspective on dollars per kWh in that factor.
Okay. I think that was it, but if we can just move forward just to double check. Yeah. Thank you. Council, any other questions? So going out to the public, are there any questions from the public in regards to this presentation? Any on this information? Anyone on the phone? Seeing none, bringing it back to the dais. Council, any other questions? All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.